I was spooning sugar into my coffee when the envelope slid under my apartment door. No return address, no handwriting, just my name, printed neatly in black ink. I didn't think much of it, not until I opened it and saw the words that made my stomach twist into knots. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Ethan Clark and Vanessa Morgan. I read it again and again. My hands trembled so hard I almost dropped the card. Ethan Clark, the man I'd loved since I was 19, the man I waited for 7 years. And now, he was marrying someone else. I met Ethan my second year of university. He was tall, all messy brown hair and warm eyes, the kind that made you feel seen. He wasn't the loudest in the room, but somehow everyone noticed him, including me. We became friends first. Study sessions turned into late night walks turned into coffee dates, and before I knew it, I was falling hard. But Ethan was complicated. He told me early on that he wasn't ready for a relationship. He had plans: travel, building his career, finding himself, as he put it. I was young and stupid enough to think waiting for him was romantic. You're the one for me, he'd say, pulling me into his arms. Just not yet. So I waited. Through his internships in Europe, his 2-year volunteer stint in Africa, and the long stretches where our contact dwindled to a few messages a month. Every time he came back, he found me. We'd fall into that same rhythm, nights talking until sunrise, kisses that left me dizzy, and every time he'd leave again, promising it was just not the right time. My friends called me an idiot. My mom tried to set me up with more available men. I ignored them all. Because when Ethan was with me, it felt real. It felt like the kind of love people wrote songs about. The last time he left was the hardest. He'd gotten a job offer in New York, something huge for his career. It's just for a couple years, he said. When I'm settled, when I can give you the life you deserve, I'll come back for you. 2 years turned into 3, then 4. But I still believed. I told myself true love was worth the wait. So when his name popped up on my phone one night, after months of silence, my heart nearly leapt out of my chest. Hey, I'm back in town. Can we meet? I spent hours getting ready. My hands shook as I applied lipstick. 7 years of waiting, and finally, this was it. We met at the same cafe where we'd first confessed our feelings. He looked older, sharper cheekbones, a few lines around his eyes, but his smile was the same. We talked for hours. About his job, my new apartment, little things, but the whole time I was waiting for him to say it. And then he did. I've been thinking about us, he said, his eyes holding mine. I think I'm ready now. My heart stopped. I wanted to cry, laugh, kiss him across the table, but before I could speak, he added, but I'm seeing someone right now. It's new. I don't know where it's going. I needed to tell you I still think about you. It felt like he'd punched the air from my lungs. I told myself maybe he'd come around. Maybe this new girl was temporary. I tried to be patient, again, but months passed and I heard nothing from him. Then came the envelope. The wedding invitation. I sat there at my kitchen table staring at the card until the words blurred. Vanessa Morgan. I'd never heard the name before. My phone buzzed. A message from my best friend Claire. Did you see the news? She wrote, followed by a link. I clicked it. An engagement announcement. Ethan and Vanessa smiling in front of a vineyard, her hand on his chest, the diamond catching the sun. The caption said they'd met 18 months ago. 18 months. That was during the time I was still waiting for him, thinking about him every single day. I didn't cry at first. I just sat there, numb. But when I finally stood, my knees buckled. 7 years. I'd put my life on hold for him, passed on good men, said no to opportunities in other cities, all for what? For him to give someone else the life he promised me? I was going to the wedding, not to stop it. I wasn't that kind of pathetic heroine. But I needed to see him. I needed answers. Claire tried to talk me out of it. What's the point, Lily? It'll just hurt more. I already hurt, I said. At least this way, I'll know. The venue was an old stone chapel, all white roses and gold accents. The guests milled about, laughter spilling into the crisp autumn air. And then I saw him, Ethan, in a tailored black suit, looking like every dream I'd ever had and every nightmare I'd been running from. Our eyes met across the courtyard. For a moment, the world stopped, and then he looked away, like I was no one. The chapel smelled of roses and polished wood. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, scattering colors across the pews. I stood near the back, clutching the invitation like it was proof of something. Maybe of my own stupidity. No one knew I was there. Not yet. I dressed simply. A navy dress, hair pinned back. Not to stand out, but not to disappear either. The ceremony hadn't started. People laughed, hugged, caught up with old friends. I scanned the crowd looking for familiar faces. And then I saw her. She was stunning in a way that made my chest tighten, not because I felt threatened, but because I couldn't hate her for it. Long, dark hair, olive skin, eyes that seemed to take in every detail around her. She was chatting with a woman I guessed was her mother, her hand resting gently on Ethan's arm. It was the kind of touch that said, "I belong here." Ethan glanced over once, and our eyes met again. This time, his jaw tightened. His lips moved slightly like he was saying something under his breath, and then he excused himself from Vanessa's side and started toward me. "What are you doing here, Lily?" His voice was low, urgent, almost panicked. I swallowed hard. "I got your invitation." His brow furrowed. "I didn't send you an invitation." I held up the card. "Then who did?" For a moment, he looked genuinely confused, but then the confusion shifted into something else. Guilt. "Lily, you shouldn't be here." "I waited for you for 7 years," I said, my voice shaking. "You told me I was the one, Ethan. You said you just needed time, and now I find out you've been with her for a year and a half?" "Lily? Was I just... what? A backup plan? Someone to keep around in case nothing better came along?" His mouth opened, then closed again. He glanced toward Vanessa, who was watching us from across the room, curiosity flickering in her gaze. "This isn't the time," he said. "When is the time, Ethan?" My voice was louder now, earning a few turned heads. "When you've finished building a life with someone else while I was too stupid to move on." Before he could answer, a voice cut in from behind me. "I'm the one who sent you the invitation." I turned. It was Claire, my best friend. "Claire, why?" My voice cracked. She looked at me, her expression unreadable. "Because you deserve to see the truth for yourself. You wouldn't listen to me before, Lily. You kept saying he'd come back. I needed you to see that he's not the man you think he is." I felt my stomach drop. "So you humiliated me? In front of him? In front of everyone?" "Better than wasting another 7 years," she said quietly. Ethan's gaze bounced between us, his brow furrowed. "You set this up?" he asked Claire. "I set her free," she shot back. The music started. Guests began to take their seats. Vanessa's father was standing at the front, beaming. "Go home, Lily," Ethan said, his tone final. "Please." But I didn't move. Instead, I walked to the very back row and sat down. I told myself I just needed closure. I needed to see it happen to believe it was over. Vanessa walked down the aisle, her dress catching the light like spun gold. Ethan's eyes softened when he saw her. My throat tightened. I dreamed of that look being for me. The officiant spoke about love, trust, and partnership. My hands clenched in my lap. When it came time for Ethan's vows, he took a deep breath. "Vanessa, you've shown me what it means to be truly known and loved. You've made me a better man." But then his voice wavered. His eyes flicked, for just a second, toward me. "And there's something I need to say before I finish." A murmur rippled through the guests. Vanessa tilted her head, confused. Ethan's hands shook slightly as he gripped the microphone. "Before I met Vanessa, there was someone else. Someone I hurt. Someone I kept on the sidelines because I was too selfish to let her go, but too scared to truly choose her. Lily, I'm sorry." Every head turned toward me. My cheeks burned. My breath caught. "I can't marry you today, Vanessa," he continued, voice breaking. Gasps filled the room. Vanessa's face went pale. "Ethan, what are you doing?" He stepped back from her, his eyes never leaving mine. "I've been lying to myself for years. I thought I wasn't ready, but the truth is, I was just afraid. Afraid of failing, afraid of not being enough. I thought I could love you, Vanessa, but you can stop now," she said sharply, her voice trembling with both anger and humiliation. The officiant cleared his throat, clearly uncomfortable. Vanessa turned and walked quickly down the aisle, her veil ripping as she brushed past a guest. Her mother followed, shooting Ethan a look of pure venom. The guests whispered, shifting in their seats. Ethan stepped down from the altar and walked toward me. 7 years, I said, my voice low, almost shaking. 7 years, Ethan? And now you decide? I'm sorry, he said again, eyes glassy. I couldn't marry her knowing I was still in love with you. I searched his face, looking for the man I thought I knew, but all I saw was a stranger who had taken years I could never get back. "I don't know if I believe you," I whispered. He reached for my hand. "Let me prove it to you. Give me a chance." I hesitated, my heart warring with my head. And then Claire's hand landed on my shoulder. "You might want to hear what Vanessa has to say first," she said. I turned. Vanessa was standing in the doorway, her makeup streaked with tears, and something in her eyes told me the story wasn't what I thought it was. The murmurs in the chapel quieted as Vanessa walked toward us. Her veil was gone now, her dark hair loose around her shoulders. She didn't look angry anymore, just tired. She stopped a few feet away, her gaze flicking between me and Ethan. "Do you want to tell her?" she said to him softly. "Or should I?" Ethan stiffened. "Vanessa, please." Her voice sharpened. "No, she deserves to know." Vanessa's eyes locked on mine. "I didn't find out about you until last week." My breath caught. "What do you mean?" She swallowed hard. "Ethan and we've been engaged for 8 months. I thought I knew everything about his past, and then I found your messages. I froze." "Messages?" She nodded. Late night ones, sweet ones that didn't sound like just friends. Some from before we met, some from a month ago. I felt my stomach twist violently. "A month ago?" She turned back to Ethan. "Tell her what you told me." Ethan's jaw worked as if he were chewing over the right words. "Lily, I wasn't lying when I said I loved you. I did. I do. But there's always a but with you," I cut in, my voice shaking. "I didn't think you'd wait forever," he said, his tone almost pleading. "When I met Vanessa, I thought maybe I should stop chasing something that might never happen. But I couldn't let you go completely. I know it was wrong. You just wanted to keep me as a backup," I snapped. Vanessa's eyes were cold now. "That's not even the worst of it, Lily." I stared at her. "What could possibly be worse?" She took a breath. "When he proposed to me, he said you were just an old friend, but 2 weeks ago I found the engagement ring receipt." I frowned. "What's wrong with that?" Vanessa's lip trembled, from fury, not sadness. "The date on it was 7 years ago. He bought that ring for you, Lily, and he never gave it to you. He kept it in the back of his closet until he gave it to me." The words hit me like a physical blow. I turned to Ethan. "Is that true?" He didn't answer. "You gave her my ring?" My voice cracked. "The one you promised me when you said you'd come back?" "Lily, don't. Don't you dare say my name right now." Claire stepped closer, her presence steady behind me. "This is what I've been trying to protect you from," she murmured. I wanted to scream, cry, throw something, but instead I felt this cold, still calm settle over me. Vanessa crossed her arms. "I called off the wedding, not because you're in love with her, Ethan, but because I realized you don't know how to love anyone. Not fully. You keep pieces of yourself locked away, and honestly, I'm glad I found out before I made the mistake of marrying you." Her voice cracked slightly at the end, but she stood tall. Then she looked at me. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I don't think either of us deserved this." And with that, she walked out of the chapel. The guests were still seated, silent, as if waiting for someone to say the right thing to make sense of what had just happened. But no one did. Ethan reached for me again. "Lily, please, I know I messed up, but maybe this is our second chance." I laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Second chance? Ethan, you had 100 chances, and every time you chose yourself." His face fell, but I didn't care. I stepped past him, walking down the aisle toward the door. Claire followed. The autumn air hit my face like a slap, sharp and cool. I stopped at the bottom of the stone steps, gripping the railing to steady myself. Claire's hand rested lightly on my back. "You okay?" "No," I admitted, "but I think I will be." She hesitated, then said quietly, "There's something else you should know, and I didn't tell you before because I wasn't sure it was true." I turned to her, my heart heavy. "What now?" "A few years ago," she began, "I saw Ethan in a restaurant with another woman. They weren't just friends. I confronted him, and he swore it was nothing, said it was a business dinner. I wanted to believe him, for your sake. But after today, I think it's been a pattern all along." I pressed my fingers to my temple, trying to process everything. All those times he'd been too busy to call, traveling for work, needing space. Had they all been lies? For years, I told myself we were a love story waiting for the right time. But the truth was, Ethan was just a chapter I'd refused to close. And now, it was over. for good. I need to go home, I said finally. Claire nodded. Let's get you out of here. Back in my apartment, I sat on the floor with a glass of wine, staring at the invitation one last time before tearing it into tiny pieces. Part of me still ached for the boy I met at 19, the one who made me believe in forever. But the man he'd become, I didn't recognize him anymore. I thought I'd feel empty. Instead, I felt something I hadn't in years: freedom. Just as I was about to turn in for the night, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I know the truth about Ethan. Meet me tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the Pier Cafe. My pulse quickened. I didn't know anyone with that initial, but deep down I knew, whatever this truth was, it wasn't over yet. The next morning I woke up before my alarm. Sleep had been shallow, the kind where you're not really resting, just drifting in and out, replaying conversations in your head. At 9:45, I walked into the Pier Cafe, the scent of roasted coffee beans wrapped around me, warm and grounding. I scanned the room. In the far corner sat a man in his late 40s, dressed in a crisp gray shirt. His hair was peppered with silver, and he had that look. The one that says, I know more than I'm letting on. He stood as I approached. Lily? Yes, I'm Daniel Morgan, he said, Vanessa's older brother. We sat. He didn't waste time. I owe you an explanation, he said. Vanessa told me what happened yesterday, but she didn't tell you everything, because she doesn't know everything herself. My chest tightened. Go on, he leaned forward. Ethan didn't just keep you waiting all these years because he was scared. He was tied up, financially and legally. I frowned. Legally? Daniel nodded. About 5 years ago, Ethan got into trouble, investment trouble. It wasn't illegal exactly, but it was close. He lost a lot of money that wasn't his. My father bailed him out, quietly, on one condition. I already knew I wasn't going to like the next part, that he marry Vanessa. My mouth went dry. You're saying your father tried to arrange a marriage between them? For money? Daniel gave a small, grim smile. Not for money, for image. My father runs a major investment firm. He thought if Vanessa married Ethan, it would be a win-win. Ethan's reputation would be saved, and our family would have someone who owed us. Vanessa didn't know about any of this until recently. She thought she'd just met a nice guy at a charity gala. I sat back, my head spinning. So he was promised to her the whole time, Daniel nodded. And he kept you in his life as an escape hatch, emotional insurance, whatever you call it. A slow, bitter laugh escaped me. So I wasn't waiting for a man who couldn't make up his mind. I was waiting for someone who already belonged to someone else. Daniel's eyes softened. I thought you should know. Vanessa's hurt, but she'll be fine. She's strong, and you seem stronger than you think. I didn't feel strong, but I thanked him anyway. By the time I left the cafe, the anger had settled into something steadier. I didn't want revenge, not the dramatic movie-style kind. I wanted closure, so I called Ethan. He picked up on the second ring. Lily, we need to meet, I said. Today, at the park? Noon. He hesitated. Okay. The park was nearly empty, the winter sun pale in the sky. I spotted him by the fountain, hands shoved into his coat pockets. He tried to smile when he saw me, but it faltered under my stare. I know everything, I said, his brows knit. Everything? About the deal with Vanessa's father. About how you were never really mine to wait for. About how you used me as your whatever I was. He ran a hand through his hair. Lily, it wasn't like that. It was exactly like that. My voice was calm, even. You kept me on a string. You let me waste years believing we had a future, when all you were doing was biding your time until you could do what was best for you. He opened his mouth, but I held up my hand. I don't need your explanations anymore, Ethan. I'm not here to forgive you. I'm not here to start over. I'm here to tell you I'm done. For the first time, I saw something break in his expression. Not just guilt, but the realization that I meant it. You were the love of my life, Lily, he said softly. I shook my head. No, I was the love of your convenience. And with that, I turned and walked away. In the days that followed, the ache in my chest didn't disappear, but it changed. It wasn't the raw, bleeding wound it had been. It was something that could heal. I took Claire out to dinner to thank her. Even if her methods had been brutal, she'd forced me to face the truth. You're stronger than you think, she told me over wine. I'm getting there, I said. A week later, I found another envelope under my door. My heart jumped. Not from fear, but from habit. This one wasn't from Ethan, it was from Vanessa. Inside was a short note. Lily, I don't know if we'll ever be friends, but I wanted you to have this. It's the ring. I don't want it. It's yours. Not because he meant it for you, but because it's a reminder to never let someone else define your worth. Sell it. Smash it. Keep it. Do whatever makes you feel free. Vanessa, I held the ring in my palm. It was beautiful. A simple diamond, elegant and timeless. And yet, it felt heavy with all the years I'd lost. The next day, I took it to a jeweler and sold it. With the money, I booked a solo trip to Italy, somewhere I'd always wanted to go, but never had, because I was always waiting for Ethan to be ready. Standing at the edge of the Amalfi Coast weeks later, the sea stretching endlessly before me, I realized something. I had been waiting for permission to live my life. Waiting for someone else to choose me, instead of choosing myself. But not anymore. Ethan Clark was a chapter I never should have lingered on. But now my story was my own, and I was finally ready to write it.